Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Midnight Gaming with Diddy and
The
Panda.
Panda. I'm recently shaved and I feel great.
He hasn't shaved in years.
My
but
head,
I
I
days.
mean.
It's fresh. It is fresh. And tonight is fresher. Because our new sponsor is not Old Spice, but is our fresh bodies. Clean and secure.
And not stinky.
There ain't no BO in this house.
Dude, I smell great, actually.
I do too. Versace Euros in my house.
Ooh, nice.
Oh, man. Everybody, we're happy to be back. It's been a while.
Hey.
Actually, we haven't even released the other episodes yet, but it's been a while.
When you hear us, we got our stuff together already.
And guess what? When you hear us, welcome home.
Hey, thanks for joining us. I hope you're having a great week.
Oh, okay, everybody. Well, tonight is a doozy because we're going to talk about something that is even more nearer and dearer to our hearts than playing video games.
Right. I mean,
it's the thing that...
Go ahead.
No, you're good.
No, I was saying it's the thing that I think playing so many video games has birthed what we're going to talk about, which is making a video game.
We would love to make a video game. We don't have the absolute technical skills. I have the writing skills, and
Yeah.
Diddy has some of the technical skills. So maybe someday.
Yeah, maybe.
When I say some, I mean the very basics.
Right, yeah, I can make a basic animation.
And that's better than nothing.
Right, yeah. But yeah, we'd love to make a video game. So we thought, this would be a really cool topic for us to just discuss. And also, we've never really, talked about it twice or maybe three times, but this is the first time that we would actually be putting this on record.
Exactly. This will go down in history as the first time discussed.
Yeah.
And coming to you in 2035.
5.
Oh, 7. That was close enough. 6. We'll make an impasse here. 2036. 13 years away.
I was about to fold.
Your
so
children
easily
can play this.
Yeah. Your children's children even.
Maybe.
If you have kids already, that is.
I do. So my children might be able to play it.
Yeah.
My children's children will be non-existent, you sicko.
Hopefully.
Hey, back off.
Just saying, hope.
We're going to start this week with a fight.
Wow, we were talking about this yesterday.
But not
too.
a battle of the fists. It's a battle of words.
I'm saying that I don't want your kid to have a kid early. Why are you getting upset about that?
Why are you putting it in the universe?
Oh my goodness. I'm not having this fight.
Okay, we're going to talk about video games because that's
Yes.
what's the most important in this
you.
moment.
Thank you.
So what kind of game would we make? What do you think? I think we've talked about this a lot. We know what games we love, but I
Right.
feel like there's a very specific kind of game that we would want to make.
Yeah, I think definitely it's gonna have to be an RPG, right? Like that is
That's like our bread and butter.
because I'd want to make a game that I would enjoy playing, obviously, right?
Exactly. It's basically what is that called? A brainchild of our existence
Right.
as video gamers. Is that
Right.
everything we love, we'd want to put into a game. The things that we enjoy, it would literally just like the video game could be called Things That Diddy and the Panda Enjoy. Now enjoy.
Yeah. Terrible
Obviously,
title, but it could.
It'll be a way better title. We're gonna workshop that.
Right. But I think that's exactly what it is. You're right. It's the culmination of all the years of us playing video games and what we've enjoyed about it. Even like what we don't like about it is going to be in it because we're not going to put it in there or try not to.
Yeah. We're not gonna put what we don't like in the game. We're gonna keep that crud out.
Right.
Which is anything that's in a Ubisoft game.
No.
For me personally.
No.
Yeah.
No. Don't you dare. I want the world to be like a Ubisoft world.
Okay, sorry. After this, we mean 2046. We still have to workshop how much we want in the
Look,
game.
we've already agreed that it would be a semi-open world, right? It wouldn't be truly open world. It would be kind of guided, but I'd want there to be the characters like you have the NPCs in a you know.
I think from a reference point, you could say a little bit more open than God of War.
I think God of War is the perfect level of open.
The only reason I say a little bit more open is that, like, in lots of games, like, you can jump up on stuff without it being guided, whereas, like, you can get roadblocked by a lot of stuff in God of War.
Oh, right. You have to get you have to get this before you can go down this path.
Well, no, I'm just meaning, like, from a purely, like, landscape standpoint. Like, you can't run on top of that rock because it's just part of the texture.
Oh, yeah. It's not an object. Yeah.
Which still is good world building, but I feel like I wanted to be a little bit more accessible. Like, we're in, let's say, the game we always bring up, Elden Ring, you can, for the most part, jump on almost anything that's not too tall.
Right.
And I feel like we'd want to have, like, the openness of Elden Ring, but the closed-offedness of a God of War / like Dark Souls.
The guiding of a God of War type game, or
but not straight linear.
Right, kind of like, so like I recently started playing the Star Wars game again, and that's very much like that, where it's like kind of open world in the sense that, like, you can really go wherever, in the sense of, like, multiple planets and stuff, but when you're in that planet, there are these roadblocks in the sense of, like, you don't have force push yet, you don't have force pull yet, you don't have, like...
Come back to Kashyyyk when you can do the triple jump.
Exactly, exactly. And I think
it's
that
it's the
would
classic
be a cool
Metroidvania. Thing. The classic, like, Metroidvania. Until you get double jumped, you can't go to this part of the castle.
Exactly.
Until you get Soul Blast, you can't open this door.
And I don't know, like, I feel like that's a good element to have when you want to keep it open world-ish, but not ruin, like you don't want to accidentally stumble upon the final boss.
Even though that's a cool concept, like, what the heck is this boss? Oh wait,
this is the main bad. Yeah.
Well, because, like, you can technically do that in what? Breath
Zelda?
of the Wild.
Yeah.
You can go to the end boss. I mean, what else? You can.
You can't do it in Elden Ring.
But you can go pretty far in Elden Ring.
Yeah, you could fight, like, Rykard technically.
You can go to Radahn, technically, like, the first.
Yeah, he could be your first person. I mean, you could fight Rykard really early without fighting anybody else.
Yikes.
Which is insane.
I mean, technically he's a cheeser, but
yeah, because all you have to get captured by the thing.
But you get that spear no matter what.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's true. But I mean, if your strength isn't strong enough, I don't know if you can use that spear.
I don't know.
Or high enough. Yeah, it's one of those things, right? Like,
it don't matter.
But like, that would be cool if we could do something like that, in the sense of, like, there's a town that's like an optional town that you could go to, or if it's truly open world, like, if you go into this place at a certain point, right? Like, in the story, like, if you, in the first 5 hours of the story, if you go here, you can actually kill the final boss in a ridiculously hard battle. But that would be one of the things you'd have to do to platinum the game.
Yeah, or it's like that's like obviously going to be like your speedrunners or whatever.
Right, exactly.
I think for me, the perfect example of a setting would obviously be Dark Souls. Not necessarily because it's going to be the same gameplay or the same type of game, but it's the interconnectedness where it's almost like I think that there's a company that's making a game right now that's called The Lords of the Fallen, and they say our maps are pretzels within each other. So it's like they're twisting spirals.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's like this circle of a map actually bleeds into this line that goes to this circle, but that circle connects to this other circle, which connects to that first circle. And then actually, by the time you get that portal opens up to this other world, which actually has an underneath thing that goes to the beginning of the game. So it's like, everything's connected.
It's like a Mobius strip.
Yeah, it's all connected. It's like an infinite, like you turn it and it continuously changes, but it all connects in one way or the other. And so it feels open world because everything's so large
inside of the world,
but rather it's a pretty small map when, like, you just look at it from because, like, we can layer, right?
Right.
Instead of having it be like this ginormous world where it just feels empty all the time.
Right. It's like the difference of well, yeah, it's like if you look at it on a map, it looks like a 3-story building versus a town.
Yep.
Right? Like, it's the same amount of space, because in those, like, 3-story buildings are...
One skyscraper equals the amount of a small town in Montana.
Right. A perfect example. Yeah.
So I think that's kind of the design we'd like to go for. Gameplay wise, I don't think you and I have discussed too much gameplay wise what we want it to be, but obviously RPG, so
right.
Skill sets, customizability, and I think we'd want to make it pretty unique, but we want it to be obviously fantasy, dark fantasy. That's our niche. I think we'd stray a little bit away from sci-fi.
And like
And
our
then-
original idea, if you want to dive into that, was like, because I think it would really tie into like what the game was going to look like.
Mhm.
It was like a character that lives in two different worlds, right? Like there's one, the regular world that we all live in, they have a certain job, and then they go to sleep and get teleported to like a dream world, or like,
Yeah.
and they get trapped there.
And I think we thought of it as a coin. So it's like he lives on the heads, and he
Right.
flips it to the tails. And what we thought is that we kind of based it very loosely on Constantine,
Yes.
to where he was a priest,
Mm-hmm.
but he was a married priest who had a child,
Right.
and then like, demons and all that stuff. So when you flip it, is that demons don't exist in his world. Like he doesn't do that. Like they're
In
God.
our world. Yeah.
It's safe. Our world is safe for the
Mhm.
most part. Like it's not safe, but it's safe. And then you flip it, and it becomes kind of like a demon hunter.
Right. Like the
Have you.
the upside down.
Exactly. And then like I think we said he'd become like this almost type of savior to these nomadic people, because like it's like
Correct.
the world's like Mad Max, where it's like
Mhm.
almost like desert landscapes and broken cities where
Demon
everything's been,
Soul-esque, right?
yeah,
Like
everything's
that's where
been
we would,
decimated. So it'd be like modern in one sense, but then flip to post-apocalyptic.
right. It's like if you were to quick shift from like what is that, Detroit Beyond Human and Dark
Mhm.
Souls.
Yep.
Like
So
what?
it's a life simulator of being a priest,
Right.
and then you go into a twin stick shooter, but it's not a
Exactly.
shooter. It's an RPG for sure.
Right. And so like that was the original idea, and then Forspoken got released.
And then we're like, oh, well, that's
Yeah,
kind
because
of
like
similar.
we wanted to have these like powers that was, that you could manifest.
Magical abilities.
And dude, that was a bummer.
And then I think we got also a little bit caught up in the religious side of it, so we kind of took a
Yeah,
step back
we
and
did.
thought we might just take it back to what we know the best, and that's dark fantasy.
Mm-hmm. So I mean, like the character is definitely not who we originally wanted it to be.
So, and I think it'd probably be reminiscent of like an Elder Scrolls Fable-esque type of world.
Mhm.
We haven't really talked about if we want it to be more cartoony, like a Borderlands, or if we want it to be more like a Dark Souls. I think it'd be a mixture of the two. It'd be a dark, twisted,
Yes.
lovable world.
Yeah.
So it's like you don't feel like grotesque in nature, but it is a grotesque type of world.
There are certain things in there that don't belong, that is very grotesque. I think like overall, like the let's going off of the heads and tails thing, like the heads world looks very much like our world, and I would even be cool with making it more like sketchy, right? Like the world that you normally live in looks a lot like what remains of Edith Finch.
Brainstorming,
Mm-hmm.
because now we're talking about it. We're talking to you guys. We're talking to you, but we're also talking to each other.
No, we're talking to each other.
We're talking to each other, and you guys can listen. This is great.
Yeah.
So we think about this. What if it is two different art styles?
yeah.
Our world's like shell-shaded comic book, and
Right.
you flip the coin, and it's like Dark Souls.
Yeah. Exactly.
But then what happens is that as it starts to blend, the game
Mhm.
becomes a completely different art style.
Yes.
To where like it's no longer either.
Yep.
It shifts. So there's a game called The Messenger that did this, to where you started as like an 8-bit, just regular platformer, and as you progress the storyline, it becomes like 24-bit action adventure game.
Whoa.
And so like it transitions that like where the graphics change because like it's progressing. So it's almost like as these worlds start to morph, I think like you could utilize this as like the Doctor Strange methodology where there's the convergence happening.
Or the Spidey into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, exactly. Like the convergence. So like the world started to become part of it, but instead of it like getting like twisted by one or changed by the other, it becomes one.
One world.
And so it's this one, not necessarily Dark Souls or comic book, but
Yeah.
it's like its own thing.
It's like there are places, and I think it would again like complete brainstorming, but there are places in our world, right, on the heads world, where there's a plane, right, like between like heads and tails. I'm gonna make sense in a second, but the veil is thinner, or the veil is
Yeah.
broken. So like in downtown Manhattan, there's just a shop that you open into, and it's the Upside Down in there. But the
Yeah.
rest of Manhattan's totally normal.
Yeah, and even if we didn't like do our personal world like Manhattan or
Right.
but like it'd just be a world we're familiar with, even if
Mhm.
it was like back in Renaissance times or whatever. So
Right.
just
Yeah.
stick
It
with the
could be
fantasy
like
theme.
it could be like you
But
walk
it's like
into a wine
it's just
cellar.
completely different. I mean, we've seen this a lot, but I don't think you've seen it to where the game completely morphs into something different.
Yeah. Because like, yeah, that'd be so cool. Like, imagine like you're walking down a wine cellar, and then all of a sudden it like shifts. Like, as you're walking,
Mhm.
the whole like graphics just change around you, and it shakes, and then it snaps back, and you're like,
Well,
oh
so
no, man, I
that
gotta go
that
to
actually
sleep.
reminds me of Titanfall. So there's an entire mission in Titanfall 2 where you have a time shift device, and what you're
Uh-huh.
doing is you're in this broken down city, and obviously this is all sci-fi shooter,
Right.
and like you're walking through there, and all of a sudden like this thing that's all fiery and broken turns into regular, and then you start wall jumping.
You
and then
Reparo on it?
but like kind of so like but you go back like 20 years and it's fixed,
Yeah.
and then you turn it off, and then you can jump to the other wall that's now broken down into something else. It's freaking awesome. So
That
do something
sounds
like that.
awesome. Yeah.
But rather than like time travel or time
Right.
shifting,
There's no control. You can't control it. I think it just
or
happens.
you could eventually. Who
could.
knows?
Yeah.
We don't know everybody, but this is our ideas. So that's the thing is that we've talked a lot about like the setting and what we want that to be. Gameplay wise, we haven't really fully thought of that yet.
True.
I think that I would love it to be like the amount of weapons, type of weapons. It doesn't have to be as much. Like at least like Bloodborne, where there's like 20,
Right.
but they have like almost like a 30 to 40 different types of ways to use it.
Mm-hmm.
But I also don't want to go the Forspoken route where it's just magic. Like I want to be
Same.
able to utilize it where it's like it's a mixture of both.
Yeah.
And we don't even need to call it magic. It could be like light and dark, and then like Fable, where you choose to be good or bad, and then
Yeah.
it changes the story.
Fable 1 was such a good game.
I've heard they're amazing.
Fable was like Fable 2 and 3 were all right, but the original Fable when it came out, dude, that was my introduction to like that was the first time where I was like, I can see myself losing hours and
Yep.
hundreds of hours to RPGs.
And then everybody knows our favorite, Elden Ring. It's just the aesthetic, the lore, and the deep thought-provoking conversation around it is like, what happened? We know the story. Ours will have a story, and that story will be told. But I also want there to be these stories where, like, well, what happened to this character that was talked about? And this cloak that you found, that's like this cloak of protection. This was used by a guy who is now part of history, who also went through the career. And I just want there to be a lot of that as well.
Oh yeah, I think the main story in my vision is like a 20-30 hour story, maybe. And then the side quests are going to be way bigger. That's how I envision it.
Yeah, and I think like because I know Skyrim and Oblivion had like decently short stories for the most part. Like it was like 15 hours, and all their
Right.
side quests made it so it was
Yeah.
like 150. And so I think that 20-30 for a story is like a lot of people's games. But I also like this doesn't have to be this game, but something that I've always thought of that I'd love to have in a game is where like there's 2 or 3 characters who, depending on the choices you make with them and how you go about the game, end up becoming a boss or an ally. But no matter what side you choose, the end boss might end up being the exact same no matter what side you choose. But the story of how you get to that boss and how like you decide to do
Oh
that.
my gosh.
So like here's an example. There's a priestess, you can name her like Abigail.
Right.
Abigail the priestess. And like you are siding with her this entire time. And there's also this thing called the Silver Guard. And the Silver Guard is this thing of men, and like one of them's this really cool guy. I always thought of like, have you seen Frozen 2?
No. I haven't seen any
Well,
of the Frozens.
It doesn't matter. And it's Disney and it's like cartoony, but
Mhm.
like it's like they're just shield men who protect. And I thought of like you get to a point to where she becomes corrupted and you can choose to side with her, and then they end up saying we cannot follow you anymore and you have to fight them. Or you say I can't follow this dark demon-esque, and then you end up being able to utilize them in the battle.
Nice.
Or you come to a point where you have to battle both of them, but you completely have a different side, and then you get to the point, and then it's always leading up to like the end boss.
Gotcha. Yeah, there's like a madman, like you get if you fight both
It's
of
like
them,
it's like
you're
the ultimate
basically
evil.
like,
It's like Diablo. Diablo's
Yeah.
always bad,
yeah,
but you decide to go with the angels or the people who can't follow Diablo. And
or
it's like,
neither. And you're like, I'm
Exactly.
just gonna kill everybody.
well, it's kind of like Elden Ring endings.
Right.
But
Yeah.
instead of it being like, oh, I sided with this person is still the end boss, it's like I sided with whatever, and it's still the end boss. So I guess it's like almost the exact same, but the ending doesn't change
right.
necessarily. It's how you get there that changes.
See, for me, I love games, and it doesn't have to be this game either, but I love games where the ending is different. Like, I went however long we've gone recording without bringing up this game, but to bring up The Witcher, there's 138 different types of endings or something like that in the game.
The only reason I want there to be a definitive ending is so there can be a sequel. That's like almost a direct sequel, because it's like with Dark Souls, it's always a completely different story. So it's like, yes, but I also want it to be kind of like Mass Effect, to where like, yes, you can technically choose an ending, but I don't want to make a game to where I have to make the other game have thousands of choices based upon what choices you made in the last game. I don't know. It's just
no, because The Witcher 3 actually does have that problem where like when you start The Witcher 3, it asks you like, have you beat The Witcher 2? Do you want us to bring over your decisions from Witcher 2 into this? And if you've never played it, it kind of like automatically gives you like the best ending at The Witcher 2.
Yeah, of course. And the same thing with the best ending.
Yeah, and the same thing with like the end of Witcher 3 is like there's truly like the best ending. There's technically 3 endings, which is like Cirilla dies. Spoiler alert. Cirilla dies sacrificing
herself. Yeah, it was 2015.
Herself.
I think we're good.
Yeah, Cirilla dies sacrificing herself. Geralt gives Cirilla back to her dad, and she becomes like a queen. Or Cirilla, Geralt, and whoever your love companion is.
Yennefer, usually.
Yep. Yeah, you guys go together, and she becomes a Witcher. But like in that, there's other things where it's like if you don't romance anybody and Cirilla dies, there's a special ending where Geralt is like about to hang himself. And that there's a different ending, like based on like minute choices. Like you saved this one person in the first act out of like the 3 acts. You saved one person. They come in to help you at the very end, kind of thing.
That's cool. Well, it's like if you think about Elden Ring, it's not like that in depth. But it's like based upon the choices you make, you could get one of 7. Like, what is it? Six different endings.
6 or 7 endings. Yeah.
Because you have the madness ending, Ronnie ending. You have the death ending,
right?
And
then you
death.
have the 3 different endings for the main ending.
The death one is that.
Is that one of the 3?
And then you have Dung Eater.
Oh, right.
And then you have what's his face?
There's
4. There's 4 regular.
Golden Sun.
That's considered a regular one as well.
Is it?
It's just who do you help restore the
Who do you help restore? Yeah.
Or do you do the Ring of Death, or do you do that? And then the 6th one is just regular. Like you don't help anybody, and you just become the Elden Lord.
Right. You become the vessel or whatever.
You basically marry Marika, and become her her vessel.
Council. What's that called? Her king consort.
Yeah, king consort.
Yeah, dude,
but then it's like
that a year later.
So basically, the 3 different endings you can technically get is that who do you help in becoming the king's consort or the queen's consort,
right?
Or do you usurp the throne with the madness, or do you usurp the throne with Ronnie?
Right.
So it's like one usurper, or
and
who you choose to
3 or 4
follow.
Different people who
and it's
are
like, what
help
is your beliefs? Like,
right.
Are you a disgusting, sex-induced freak, or do you love death, or
do you love dung?
Or do you want everybody? That's what I'm saying. Sex-obsessed freak. Do you want to like have it be to direct order? You have to follow every order, which is the golden order, or do you want to just have it be your own? And okay, I think everybody kind of gets it. That's kind of the game we want to make.
No, yeah, it's perfect.
But there's things that we don't love about certain games, and we kind of already talked about. I think the game we want to make is specifically making it so those things aren't part of it. Clunky controls, terrible camera.
Oh my god!
And then honestly, open world exhaustion.
Yeah, too much emptiness in an open world, and I think that ties back into your idea of it being semi-open, because you could have this. I want to play that game, Lords of the Fallen.
Oh, they look so amazing.
Because
it's gonna be like
the way you explain the map, like just the way you explain the map system, like that sounds like the perfect solution for a guided / open world game.
Well, yeah. See, that's the thing is that it goes back to Bloodborne, Dark Souls, Sekiro. They all connect. They're pretzels.
Oh,
think about it. Everything connects.
But they all connect at the nexus.
No, that's just Demon Souls.
Wait, how does
Bloodborne.
TS?
Think about this. Bloodborne, you're in the old Yarnum,
Uh-huh.
which connects to the sewers, and then connects to the old world, which then connects to this place.
Right.
Yeah.
You're
It's not always
right.
perfectly connected, but it's like it's very connected.
The
and then
you
each-
don't
each
really
individual
need
map
the
is
gravestones. In
And
Bloodborne,
those
you
are
don't-
those are like bonfires.
right. You don't really need the bonfires in Bloodborne,
I mean, yeah, you do.
but you could get through basically the whole game without using it.
Yeah, and that's called a no lantern run.
That's insane. And then
Yeah.
you could come all the way back to the beginning.
Except for you can't go back to level up. That's all.
Oh, that's true.
But that's it. You can just use that one. But yeah,
That's gnarly.
crazy. Okay, everybody, I think you kind of get it. There's the beginning, and maybe in a couple months we'll talk about more ideas we have.
Oh yeah, I think we should definitely do a brainstorming session like every couple months.
Has been Midnight Gaming with Diddy and the Panda.
Yeah. Thank you.
Have a good night. Sleep tight.
This was
Don't
fun.
let the demons bite.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was something.
Peace.
See you later, y'all. See you later, and bye.